In this video, I'm going to walk you through how I use monk mode to scale my online coaching business and lock in. So the first thing we need to understand is what monk mode actually is. Now, you may have heard of this before, you may have not, but essentially monk mode refers to a state of extreme focus and discipline where you eliminate distractions and dedicate yourself completely to a particular goal. Monk mode comes from the disciplined and minimalist lifestyle associated with monks in various religious traditions. When you enter monk mode, you would typically cut out almost all non-essential activities such as socializing, entertainment, or indulging in distractions like social media to maximize your productivity and personal growth. This intense focus allows you to channel your energy and attention towards achieving your goals with increased efficiency and dedication. Monk mode can last anywhere from 2 weeks to 90 days. Now, if you haven't done a monk mode before, then what I would highly encourage is just start with a short one. 2 to 4 weeks is perfectly fine. If you have done something like this before, then you can definitely push things up to 60 to 90 days, which will give you big rewards. But what I will say is that the very first monk mode I didn't do enough research on how long people recommend that you do it for. So I was like, okay, I'll just do it for 3 months. That should be enough. Surely that's going to be good, right? And I did it and I smashed it. I cranked out so much work in that time frame and it was incredible. But I crashed and burned afterwards. I wouldn't say that I burnt out, but what I did do is just have this big, how can I explain it? I had this big sort of whiplash of fatigue that hit me for probably the following 2 to 4 weeks post that monk mode. So I would say overdid it in a sense, and I probably should have started with just 30 days and then if I felt good kept going to 60 and then probably called it there. But if you're fresh to it, then definitely don't go balls to the wall straight away. This resource as well will also be available in the link below in the caption, so you can take that and make a copy of this. Up in the top right corner it will say duplicate. You can add this to your Notion account because there is a lot of fillable sections in this that you'll need to go and fill in. So however long you want it to be, obviously state how long, put in your start date, put in your end date. But this is what monk mode is. Now these are the 3 steps to getting monk mode actually organized. So step number 1 is we need to go through a reflection. So I want you to use the following questions down below to reflect on your life over the last 3 months. So what I like to do here is I just like to rank all of these different categories on a scale of 1 to 5. Once you get your total amount, you'll be able to then double that number and you'll end up with a percentage score. So you might end up with 60%, 70%, 80%, 90, 95, whatever it might be. You'll probably find that you won't be a 5 out of 5 in all these areas. There's always room for improvement, but you may very well be. And if that's the case, monk mode may not even be necessary. But the whole objective is to get clear on where you're winning in your life and what needs some focus and attention. We then have a couple of reflection questions here too. So what were your 5 accomplishments for the last 90 days? So this is in your business. Do the same thing for your personal life. What were the 5 major lessons you learned from the last 90 days? This is really good because it makes you pause and reflect on what did you actually learn and what have you been doing? What are the 2 things you wished you could redo from the last 90 days? So, regret can become a guideline. And if you regret things, it's good. It means you didn't do something. So reflect on that. What were the things that you wish you could redo or stuff that you drifted from? List that out. What are 3 opportunities you missed out on in the last 90 days that would have been good for you? This is a big one. Again, sometimes monk mode isn't just about pushing the needle really hard in the business. It's also about maximizing your relationships and friendships as well, potentially. But generally, it's a very self-focused period of time. It's a very selfish phase or season that you'll put yourself through to try and develop yourself in all of those areas and or push the business to new levels, which is primarily what you're going to be watching this video about if you are watching. Next thing is, what were your weak points over the last 90 days? So what actually needs improving here? This is going to take a little bit of honesty. Sometimes people will glaze over the bad, they'll deny the bad, they'll bottle up the bad, and they don't want to expose their weakness. because they don't want to look weak, right? But we need to know those weak points so we can actually focus on the areas that do need to be improved. Once we have all of this clarity, and you can click these toggles and fill these in, but once you have all of this clarity, now you're going to have a really good understanding on where your business and life is at. If you wanted to go deeper than this, then feel free, but generally this is all that you need. Step 2 is then goals and rules. So for your goals, I want you to spend 30 to 60 minutes getting clear on your goals in these 5 areas. For some of these, you may not have full clarity on what you want to achieve, which is normal to experience. Just take the time and let it marinate with your subconscious. So you might list some of these out, and then maybe you need to go for a walk. Maybe you need a couple of days just to really process and let things marinate to figure out what your goal is. But your goal is pretty obvious, right? It's what you're trying to get. But it must have the following characteristics in it. It needs an endpoint, it needs to be tangible, it needs to be measurable, and it must be some sort of number. If your goals do not currently display those characteristics, then I want you to take some time to adjust them. Don't just say, I want to get leaner. I want to make more money. How much money? In what time frame? Get specific with it. You can then list all these out. So we have business, financial, relational, personal, and then health goals. So here you'll see that I've also got 90-day sprint. Now the purpose of 90-day sprint is we're not trying to plan our 10-year goals in this monk mode. This isn't a goal setting exercise. This is an extremely focused season of discipline where you're pushing the needle for a short period of time. So I've got 90-day sprints, but what I want you to do is to change this to, say, it might be 4 weeks, right? 4-week sprint, whatever it might be. However long your monk mode duration is going to be, change that to this. Keep that in mind when you're planning these goals as well. Don't put down, I want to buy 5 properties, unless you've got the capital to do so, but be realistic. What can you actually do in the next 4 weeks, in the next 60 days, or in the next 90 days, or maybe it's just 2 weeks, however long you decide to set the sprint up for, write that down, fill in these categories. For some, you may only have 1 or 2 small things in these areas, and that's okay. Sometimes it's just a matter of wanting to focus on the business, and that's totally cool. But it would be good to fill all these in so you know what you can be lasered in on. Next thing is our rules. This is the important part of monk mode. Monk mode is all about being focused and disciplined. To do so, you'll need rules to follow. To get clear on your rules, start by gaining clarity on all the distractions you're currently facing in your day-to-day life. So here is you can list out every single distraction that you may have. There are some examples that I've got for you: drinking alcohol, eating takeout, watching porn, watching Netflix, gaming, doom scrolling on phone, chasing women, men if you're a female, whatever it might be. There will be distractions that will be coming up in your life more often than what you think they are. Get clear on those things. Once you have clarity on the distractions, we can then list out 3 to 5 rules that you will follow during monk mode. I really just want to emphasize this rules section. This is the whole point of monk mode. Being really focused and really disciplined. It's improval by subtraction. So it's doing fewer things, but only focusing on the things that are really going to move the needle in the areas that you want to improve, which is pretty much the majority of this document is to gain clarity on what to not do and then what to do, and then just to be freaking just be freaking disciplined with it and smack it real hard. So 3 to 5 rules. These are rules that I have had in previous monk modes. I think it was in the last monk mode that I did. So follow a strict animal-based diet with 1 off-plan meal per week, 10 minutes of meditation a day, daily exercise, even just going for a walk is going to count in this case that I had. TV only from 7 to 8 p.m. So I was allowing myself to watch Netflix, but the reason why I've got that in there is, for me, that's not a distraction where I sit down for hours and binge watch things. I find watching TV at times can actually help me decompress for the day. So for me, usually I would just be putting on some sort of TV show, maybe even a YouTube video or a podcast. It's not just watching dumb shit like Love Island. It's something that's probably going to still be beneficial to me. Next one is in 5 a.m. wake up and 9 p.m. sleep. So these rules here pretty much will keep you dialed in from a feeling standpoint. So you're going to feel good because you've been sleeping well, you've been eating well, you've been taking care of your mental health at the same time. But again, you can list out your 3 to 5 rules inside of here. I wouldn't go any more than 5 because now it's just like getting quite excessive. If you ask me, it's more about just like putting rules on the things that you probably shouldn't be doing when you're trying to really focus on an important goal. Step number 3 is to plan and then come up with your strategy. So the framework for planning to achieve your goals in monk mode needs to include the following: a tangible and measurable sprint goal, habits to support the goals, strategies, KPIs or key performance indicators, processes and tasks, and then focus framing. So if we were to open up this one here, take your sprint goal from each of the 5 areas and write them here. To keep things simple, pick just one. So you may have listed off a couple of goals in these categories. Choose one from each category. This allows you to, again, just keep things really simple. From there, I want you to write out the habits that will actually support these goals. So these are your small non-negotiables that will support you getting to where you want to get to. Choose 2 to 5 of the most impactful habits that you can follow. But again, don't overdo this. It's not about trying to do as many things as you can. It's trying to do as few things as possible, but a really good job of that. Examples here: meditate, plan your day, visualization, affirmations, take a progress pic, cold shower, stretching, whatever it is, right? There's a gazillion different habits that you could have here. But what I want you to do is to write out what the goal is and then have your habits underneath that. So now you can sort of see what needs to go down. So if I wanted to learn how to play golf, it would be practicing golf and then attend 1 golf lesson per week. So these would be the habits that would, influence me getting better at golf. Practice golf is quite vague though. So it could be like at the driving range once per week, something like that. From there, we now need to know the strategies around that. So this is how you'll actually get to the tangible goals. So feel free to do some research on this. But examples is like this: strategy 1, post call to actions on Instagram stories 2 times per week if the goal is to sign on 10 coaching clients. So here is where you can list this out. So list out all of your strategies, right? These again have to be reflective of the goals that you've just set. Next is our key performance indicators. So these are the measurable actions that you'll take that will move you closer towards your goals for this particular monk mode sprint. This takes you from theorizing strategies to actual execution. So you can see here now I start to get a little bit more specific with these inputs. So 3C, like if you would have noticed up here, build and follow a content promotional cadence. Okay, cool. Well, that's obviously the strategy. How can I measure my performance surrounding that? Well, 3 call to actions per week, aiming for 3 to 5 conversations with ideal prospects per day. Blah, 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 blah. As that list goes down, you'll notice there's a lot more numbers through here because this is now how I can measure the inputs that I do that's going to help me get to my goals. This is a really important part of moving the needle in any area of your life, is you need to know what the specific and measurable inputs are that you can do that's going to get you to your goal. You don't lose weight by obsessing about the number on the scale. You lose weight by obsessively tracking your calories and macros and hitting your steps and doing your cardio minutes and training X amount of times per week and progressive overload by numbers, right? It's always focusing on inputs that will get the weight off. Same thing applies to you. Processes and tasks. So here's where you're going to make your to-do list and plan when you actually execute these tasks. When planning, I want you to be mindful of your time and capacity. This is a big one. You may have a lot on at the same time when you're trying to do monk mode. So just be realistic with what you can actually handle. If you're in a season of busyness, monk mode may not actually be the best move for you. You do need to have kind of a lot of clarity on how much time you have and how much bandwidth you have. If you don't have that, it's going to be very hard for you to get this done. So what I want you to do is to start by reviewing each sprint goal and the KPIs associated with it. So you'll have to scroll up and review what you've got here. Then take those goals and KPIs and come up with a plan for when you'll act on them. I want you to be specific with the days and times. So list out your business goal, the KPIs, and then the process here. Once you've done that for all 5 categories, we can then move into focus framing, which is where you're just going to briefly restate your goals again, just to easily prompt it. You don't have to fill that in. But the next thing is like mapping this out over the next 2 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, or whatever it might be. I've got 3 months in here written for you, but feel free to change this around. But long story short, all we're trying to do with the focus framing now is we're trying to take all of this information that we now have, all of this plan, these goals, inputs, strategies, And now we're just going to map those into weeks and months. So for me, I would go month as like a category, and then I would go week, and then in the week I would plan out the things that I'm going to do. This is what moves the needle in your life. This is what allows you to make more money. Can you see, just by going through something like this, how specific things get? You know exactly what to focus on. You've got one clear goal. Business is this, personal is this, relations this, finance this. You know the KPIs that you need to be hitting, the strategies surrounding that, and then it's just a matter of planning it in. But the hardest part that you're going to face on this entire process is just doing the work. So many people will mentally masturbate over things like this. They'll obsess about filling out these documents, and it feels like you're doing the work when you plan things like this. But the hardest part, like I said, is putting the rubber to the road, is actually doing the fucking work to make this happen. Download this resource in the link below, fill it in, map out when your monk mode is going to be, and lock in.